Hi there, I'm John from CNCKing.com, and today we'll make a UV printer jig for a large format printer. We have a few customers with very large UV printers. They're actually like a 4x8 in feet. And as a result, a lot of the smaller jigs that they have aren't very useful to them because they fill up such a small portion of the bed, and you can't really put one side by side because it's not very efficient because you don't have something that sort of interlocks to make sure everything is positioned correctly. That's where this comes in handy. This here is actually the number of the jig, so they know what orientation and what way to put the jig onto their flatbed. And what you notice here is a puzzle piece. So these are all puzzles. I have them in a stack here, but you can sort of see here the way they're set up. So when the customer has a project requiring this to be done, what they do is they put their interlocking pieces together on the bed and they go ahead and print. Now the nice thing about having an interlock and a numbering system is that they don't have to worry about dragging the whole sheet off each time. It's just small little components like that. And the nice thing about having small components like this is for storage, it takes up just a small little cubicle rather than having full sheets all over the shop that end up getting lost and so forth. Another advantage of going this route instead of a full sheet is obviously the warping. Doesn't matter the material, whenever you remove material off the top of anything, what the material wants to do is go this way because there's less force that way. And when you have smaller pieces, the force is a lot less than a full sheet. But our customer who has this requirement here, they have a massive vacuum system as well. So they don't rely on the vacuum system of, when they got the printer. They have their own separate system, sort of like what I have with my Thermwood. And as a result, it just sucks it right down once everything's interlocked and they can go into production all day. So when it comes to making the most precise product I can in the shop, what I generally do is what you see here. And what I'm doing is skimming off the surface of my MDF. There's a couple of reasons I do that. One, MDF likes to warp over time. Of course, I skim it enough that it's not really much of an issue with this machine for this project here, but I do it anyways. But more importantly, what it does is get rid of any sort of bumps or valleys or any sort of issues that could possibly be on the surface of the MDF that you don't see. So I have absolute precision X and Y with the machine. It's like dead on everything, except the Z can have a little bit of play if the spoil board underneath is not dead flat and parallel. So that's what I'm doing. I was skimming off the surface. So now I know everything is X, Y, Z, perfect, and dead flat, parallel, everything's ready for production. Now the reason why I have to do that for this project here is because the customer has very specific tolerances for the Z, which is the depth that I'm carving around the puzzle pieces. So the puzzles themselves, it doesn't really matter. I'm cutting all the way through the board. But what I'm doing is carving around those little islands that you see. And as soon as I do that, they need a specific depth for their metal jig or their metal product to fit inside of the jig. So that's why I did it for that project there. I also use this table for painting, and it works great because the paint is always on the surface, and whenever I skim it, it removes all the paint too. So there's multiple purposes for that. I have two very powerful suction vacuum systems for this table. So I don't really need to seal, as you see, the piece of plywood and the plastic along the back. I don't have to do that. It would totally suck it down, not an issue. It's just force of habit because of, I'm just always careful about producing something that's not good enough. So I prefer to overkill and make sure everything's dead on and everything's well sucked down. And that way I have no problems when I'm doing production for the customer. There is one other massive advantage to going with a puzzle system instead of a full sheet system, and that's damage. It's a lot easier to damage a full sheet of whatever than it is to damage a small piece. And the advantage of a small piece is if you only manage, let's say you break one of the 10 pieces that I made today for the customer, I just cut that one piece out again using the same design file they gave me originally, and voila, they have a brand new piece that they don't have to keep using the broken one or have to skip over. So if you're looking for custom UV printer jigs, contact me at CNCKing.com. We'll make it for you and ship it right to your door.